When you look at age concern today, and we're sitting here in our 75th year with almost 60 staff across the whole of Auckland. We deliver services across parts of New Zealand to people who need the help that only we can give from Auckland. How do you reflect on that whole journey over that 30 years that you were running Age Concern on North Shore? I know from personal experience that you were an integral part of when we amalgamated the Age Concerns together in Auckland. When you reflect on that whole journey to where we are today from where you started, what are your thoughts on where we need to go in the next 25, 50, 75 years?
I think and it's a worldwide thing, the increase in the number of older people and frailer older people, I think the home support services are incredibly important. I think that there are a lot of older people struggling to live at home. Not all of them. Maybe the next generation will be digitally capable of doing online ordering of their groceries, and I think quite a few learned to do those things. So I think the digital skills will be very important for people when they can't get out and about and carry heavy bags of groceries and those kind of things. I think you're always going to need to encourage volunteer support for those people, because it's tough. It's tough getting old. I'm getting older now. I'm living old age. And, I have eyesight problems driving at night, so your life changes as you get older. And so keeping listening to older people, but what we're doing now hasn't really changed. There's a few more mod cons, like the computers and those kind of things. But sometimes for older people, swiping a cell phone is quite difficult, so you can't just assume. So it's about education as well, educating the publics to make shops and services age friendly. I think that's an important health promotion scheme. You've already developed here in Auckland a good range of different cultural services. We were the first ones to set up an Asian service on the shore. I had an older Chinese woman come and see me, and she said, I'm really worried about some of our older people getting depressed because the family bring them out here and then the family go to work and they're just left with a Chinese video to play on the TV, and they're lonely and they get lonely and they're worried about not being able to go back to China to die. And we also worked with her around advocacy for their pensions, because there was an assumption by the government here that their pensions were government pensions because of the regime they lived under. But she said each factory had its own pension scheme. It wasn't the same as a government pension. So we had to do some advocacy with the minister for that, and then I again set up a committee with her and a couple of other older Chinese supporting a Chinese worker, and we started running Chinese services and getting a group together to run their own activity groups. So they did their it was started out with Chinese, and then I think you've developed it into Japanese and Filipino.
We do. Yes, we do Chinese, Korean, Japanese. We're expanding into South Asian, so Indian, Sri Lanka. And I think from that team of one on the shore, we've now grown to a team of 11 focused on the diverse population across Auckland. But I think, Janferie, probably to sum up, that we owe you a huge debt of gratitude, and you've made my job very, very difficult, because I've got to try and live up to the standards that you set. And I think if I can make half the changes and the difference and the positive advancements that you made during your 30 years dedicated to Age Concern, I won't have done too badly but my word, it's going to be you're a difficult example to live up to, and I reflect frequently on the work that I do is so much easier because what I'm doing is trying to develop and expand elder abuse services, to try to develop and expand the services we have for social connections to support lonely and isolated people, to develop and expand what we're doing to support the diverse communities throughout Auckland. What I don't need to do is to come up with the original things and get them off the ground. And so the fact that you were instrumental in those things and the difference that you've made to older people across, not just across Auckland, but how what we have done here in Auckland that has been spread then across the rest of the country. And I think you've shown the way, you've taught us a lesson of when we successfully implement things here in Auckland, it makes an enormous difference to the people who live here, to the older people, to their families, but also our friends and colleagues across the whole of the country then pick up on those things and follow the lead. So I think I can only say a huge thank you to you for everything you did from a personal perspective, for being so welcoming when I joined, because a bit like you, when I came on board, I'd never worked with older people. And I remember coming on and feeling like a terrible fraud because I'd spent my career up to that point almost entirely working in the field of conservation. And you were so generous in sharing with me what I needed to learn. I'm still learning. I was mentioning to our colleagues here earlier on that you will have forgotten more than I've ever learned by now. It's the knowledge that you have brought to Edge Concern has been extraordinary. So, and I think the other thing for me is that although you stepped down from your role as being manager of Age Concern on the North Shore, you're still involved because you're still a trustee of the North Shore Trust that supports the work of Age Concern, that supports older people on the shore. So you may have stepped down from running an Age Concern, but you're still very much involved in supporting older people. So
I'm still involved also with, although my time's a bit more limited, with the university gerontological group who are studying active ageing, and they want input from older people, and as an older person I can now give that input. But yeah, the other side we didn't talk about was the health promotion and the development of that, which was trying to, we were working in the area of elder abuse and loneliness and isolation and sort of negative aspects, if you like, of that. And it was like, how do you put something there to prevent that happening? And so health promotion was developed, and I can't quite remember how we developed that, but we did. And it was about trying to give information to older people in various ways through seminars. We did our first information directory, which was then copied around the age concerns around the country. People needed, to me, information is like gold. And so you put a book together that sort of says where can you get legal help and where can you get health help and where can you get, companionship and, what do you have to do to enter rest home. And all the different groups, the CAB, the church groups that were providing support and luncheon groups and friendship groups and all the senior SITS groups that were available. We were trying to push people, instead of being lonely at home, to join those. We didn't want to replicate them. And it was about trying to support those. So I sat on committees of some of those groups as well that were aging and helping them. So strengthening from within, from the governance of different community groups to open their eyes to the needs of older people and to provide the services they needed. Things like the free solicitors at CAB to give advice and things like that were offshoots of things that could help older people that other people were doing. And if we could just expand that, so they only had nighttime visits, can you do some daytime ones that will suit older people? And just manoeuvring services and doing the thing of shops. I remember one campaign we did was seating in shops, and that was a health promotion campaign. And we got a sponsor to print us some canvas backings that would go over the back of a chair, and we encouraged shops to have a chair by the counter, like they did in the old days. For people to be able to sit down and rummage through their bag to get their money out or whatever they needed. Cheers for chairs, I think we called the campaign. But it was just little things like that. It's like the whole time, and you're still going to be doing that work of opening the eyes of other people to older people.
No, we still do that. We still actually build on the sort of the health promotion work. One of the interesting things we're now doing is using digital technology more.
Absolutely.
Never replacing the need for the face-to-face interaction. But I mean, last year, for example, just within our Asian services team, we had 86,000 connection points of people gaining information from us in a way that we could simply never achieve just by going out doing face-to-face. But we still produce the directories, we still do the workshops.
And the websites, which obviously came along later.
Absolutely, and we still advocate on behalf of older people across Auckland. So I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for making such an impact. Thank you for coming in and sharing that with us today. And just to sort of sum up, I can hand on heart promise that we will continue to do all that we can to ensure that we continue the fantastic work that you were so integral to during your time at Age Concern.
It was an absolute privilege working there. That's why I stayed there so long. Every day was new, and it was just a feel-good job.
Well, Age Concern does get under your skin. I can vouch for that. I came for 3 years, and I'm now here for 10. So I think part of that is because there's always more that needs to be done.
And nice people to work with. I always say when I'm hiring people, I hire for the heart. The skills are there, they need to be there, but we hire for heart, and that gave you a really good culture in the workplace.
We still do that to the people we have here because they care passionately. And that makes such a difference when you come to work.
And the hundreds of volunteers. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing work they do. So, to celebrate that over 75 years is absolutely amazing. So, thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for sharing everything. It's been wonderful to hear.
Good luck with your celebrations. Congratulations.
Thank you, Janferie. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Okay.